Every year, without fail, the MMO genre suffers a scandal that absolutely embodies the state the genre is in right now. Oath Online in 2020, Dreamworld in 2021, Chronicles of Illyria in 2022. These scandals range from stealing money from investors, reinvesting money crowdfunded from players into crypto, charging for founders packs and never launching, hiring external studios and never paying them. The term scam has become synonymous with indie developers, even despite the equal percentage of studios that don't engage in shady practices. Which brings us to 2023's first potential major MMO scandal, Ethereal Echoes of Yore. Ethereal is an MMORPG that released with an optional premium subscription on May 1st, 2023, taking inspiration from old school MMORPGs with the goal of providing players with a more hardcore experience without the casual friendly coddling that the genre has become riddled with in recent years. Yet before the title even launched, the studio was embroiled in drama concerning their fraudulent, underhanded advertising campaign. Is Ethereal a scam, or does the game merely suffer from a severe case of negligence and incompetence? Let's find out. 13 days ago, there was a thread opened on Reddit titled Indie MMORPG Dev Faking Interest, where the OP asked the MMORPG community for the name of an MMO that had been advertised recently where the main developer attempted to fake positive impressions and subsequently fake hype for their upcoming title. This isn't the first time that this has happened. On the contrary, fake positive reviews are common in media, movies, TV series, and even gaming. When Tower Fantasy launched, they had hired studios to copy recent Genshin Impact reviews and paste them into the Google Play Store, merely altering the name of the game mentioned. AAA studios often buy off critic reviews. Even content creators are guilty of taking sponsorships in an effort to increase hype for a game release. But typically, these are disclosed. Legally, we're obligated to. One of the first threads linked was of a user who has since not only deleted the thread in question, but also suspiciously their entire account, removing any traces of their identity or post history. The thread in question, featuring the studio coincidentally immediately swooping in and further hyping their game and subsequently systems. Were Jellyberry Studios utilizing throwaway accounts in an attempt to open certain situations, allowing for them to respond to players talking about their game, removing threads and deleting accounts after they had served their purpose to attempt to obscure their clandestine activities? This is, after all, an easy way to give the illusion that players are not only playing, but also discussing your game online, and beyond that, a means with which to show how deeply rooted you are within the community, actively responding to threads across social media within minutes of them going live. Unfortunately, this seems to be a recurring theme with Jellyberry. 3 months ago, the studio created a thread titled Creating a Boss from Scratch in Ethereal, an inside look at indie MMORPG development, which managed to obtain a large number of upvotes and was arguably the first instance of them being caught red-handed. A user by the name of Snoofloofs878 had been commenting for months across Reddit, posing as a regular member with no connections to the game, advertising the game, liking and responding to comments praising it. Here is one such comment, out of pages worth, where Snoofloofs goes on to ardently defend Ethereal after being called out for being ugly. To me, this seems like a project without funding, and taking that into consideration, it is instead truly impressive what they have accomplished. I happen to think that graphics look great, but again, that is in the eye of the beholder. The very same year, Snoofloof responded to another thread titled Why has the philosophy of creating an MMORPG changed so much since Ultima Online? With we absolutely agree with you, MMORPGs have lost the role-playing feeling, and this is a heavy focus for us in our game. Notice how Snoofloof is now advertising the game as his own, repeating multiple times throughout his reply that the project is indeed one that he is an active part of. Spending the time between 2022 and 2023 pretending that you're a fan of the game with absolutely no financial investment in it is dishonest, and thanks to a Reddit user, This Goblins Come From Moon, it was made public. Snoofloof left yet another comment on Jellyberry's more recent thread and was immediately called out, with this goblin urging players to check Snoofloof's post history, accusing Snoofloof of being an account that exists merely to advertise Ethereal, which we've looked at and found to be the truth. After being called out, Snoofloof immediately deleted his comment, and the official Jellyberry account run by Amar emerged to handle the situation, issuing an apology. Amar stated that he was unaware Snoofloof was pretending to be a mere fan of the game, while in fact working directly for them, and even admits to personally attacking this goblin for bringing this kind of behavior to light. On the one hand, lashing out as the game director, the person in charge because your team is proven to have been dishonest in their behavior, is a red flag. But more than that, not knowing your team is engaging in that kind of behavior is a sign of being a bad leader with no control over your company or the people employed within it. Amar supposedly had internal discussions with Snoo, who has been warned to cease making comments promoting the game. After all of this drama went down and moderators were brought in to delete certain comments made, some of which were from Jellyberry themselves, Snoofloof took the time to reply and attempt to defend his actions. Snoofloof responded with nice investigation, proceeding to confirm that he used to help with social media accounts, but otherwise just moderates for the game and promotes it when he can, now no longer a member of the team, which seems to contradict Amar's comment about Snoofloof being an active member of their team. When asked by goblins why he has been actively posing as a fan when he's a staff member, Snoofloof responded with, "Because I'm a huge fan," as justification for his lies and hidden agenda for the last year. Goblins continued by calling out his seemingly random stumbling upon the game, when in fact he was directly affiliated with it, to which Snoofloof responded by claiming he did stumble upon it once and was impressed. Being called out, according to Floof, is not a big deal, and he is under the impression that this isn't at all harmful to the reputation of the company that he's representing. Goblin further pointed out that not only did Snoofloof falsely claim that he stumbled upon the game, but he also coincidentally checked out the promotional video, which he positively shared, when that is part of his job as the person in charge of marketing across social media, which means Floof had absolutely no knowledge about what specifically he was supposed to be marketing as the head of social media, or he did, and he fabricated his reactions. I'll let you judge which of the two is more likely. Now, as we're approaching the launch day woes, I do want to take a moment to stop there and thank our incredible patrons over on Patreon. Your guys' support allows me to continue to push out videos like this every day, and I deeply appreciate it. Also, if you have a moment, consider following me over on Twitch. I stream there every weekend. Now, I'm not going to criticize a game or its respective studio for launch day issues. Every game suffers from unforeseen circumstances that are entirely out of their control. But a lack of communication and transparency does nothing but turn people away from playing your game. Ethereal launched on May 1st, 2023 with two types of servers available for players: paid and free. Paid servers required a recurring subscription fee, whereas free servers were for us common folk. Within hours of launching, Ethereal's servers went down. Not all of the servers, however, mostly the free servers, with premium servers suffering minor hiccups, leaving many potential and current players sitting in perpetually loading queues with no end. MRSSSTIX and I sat in one such queue on May 1st for several hours before deciding to call it quits and try again on May 2nd. Throughout all of May 1st, the devs chose to remain tight-lipped. Not a single announcement was made across any of their social channels until May 2nd. Early May 2nd, they posted an update on Twitter stating the servers will be down for maintenance for a while in an active effort to address previous issues. Shortly after, they made a follow-up tweet stating that servers should now be up. And while certain servers were in fact live, there were equally as many, if not more, that were down. Still, this has left a very bad impression on players, and that bad impression was entirely warranted. Downtime is one thing, no communication followed by confirmation that is contrary to what we're seeing. A number of additional issues have been reported across Reddit, consisting of players being unable to create characters. This is resolved by clicking accept choices and create character, then proceeding to leave the game loading for a number of hours. However, you should only click it once, as every additional click generates a duplicate character on your account. The game doesn't render building or NPCs. This is fixed by relogging. However, relogging places you into a queue that takes several hours to successfully pass, if you're lucky enough to. I wasted 3 hours on May 2nd and still didn't pass the queue. Yet amongst the overwhelming number of problems players were having with the game, none stood out more than instances of double charging and triple charging going on, where players continued to be billed the price of a subscription, $9.99 every day that they played. Over a day after these events were brought up publicly in their community, the studio decided to make a public announcement across their social platforms, stating that they were working on finding the easiest way to refund all the duplicate charges. In the meantime, as players continue to be double and triple charged, they're urged to contact Steam support directly. In the official announcement, Amador goes on to claim that the issue lies with Steam's subscription setup. In a follow-up message on Discord, he goes on to further claim that this is instead a technical problem on their end. This has led players to accuse the studio of not knowing what they're doing, first claiming his staff member wasn't really a member of his staff, and then later blaming Steam, only to retract his claim and admit the fault lay with them. Players are upset, with many claiming that they have suffered duplicate charges, that they have lost any and all interest in the game, or that they're quitting after receiving their refunds from Steam, which does not bode well for the future of the game. In response to the inordinate amount of criticism the studio has suffered as a direct result of their utter incompetence exhibited thus far, the devs have hit the nuclear button. On May 12th, the servers will be reset and the game, along with the remainder of players left playing it, will begin the game anew, fresh. This launch, if we can really call it a launch, has been a catastrophic disaster with a monolithic number of negative reviews left on Steam. Almost 80% of total reviews at the time of recording. This is going to highly deter any potential players from trying the game out and could very well have been handled by holding a test phase prior to launch, which, if we're being entirely honest, is what this launch ultimately ended up being after they hit the reset button on May 12th. The devs have promised all players with a premium subscription at the time of the reset will receive 2 weeks of game time as compensation to make up for the 2 weeks worth of time that they lost testing the official launch of the game. But is it too late? Many players are claiming the game is already dead, that they have been scammed. But is Ethereal Echoes of Yore a scam on the level of Oath or Dreamworld or Chronicles of Illyria? Maybe. Time will be the judge of that. The state of the game is nevertheless a direct result of incompetence at the highest level, but that just goes to show how difficult it can be developing and successfully launching an MMO. Now, if Ethereal Echoes of Yore isn't an MMO that you're interested in trying out, I urge you to check out one of the 2 videos on screen right now. They might be of more interest to you.